पूर्णमद पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते हरि ओम् ईशावास्यमिदं सर्वं यत्किञ्चित् जगत्यां जगत्. Welcome once again. In the last episode of our Inspired Life podcast, we just started the topic of what is an inspired life, and by what I spoke in the first episode, it appears very simplistic, but in reality, it is not so simple. As we move ahead in this journey together, we'll see that it has got great depths. I am reminded of an episode from Mahabharata when Kauravas and Pandavas started their education under the discipleship of Guru Dronacharya. The first lesson Dronacharya taught them was always speak the truth. And he asked them to learn this lesson. Next day, when he asked them, had they learned the lesson, everybody except for Yudhishthir replied in the affirmative. Whereas Yudhishthir said that he had not yet learnt it. So, the third day also, Yudhishthir gave the same reply. And this process continued for some days until everybody realized that what Yudhishthir meant by learning was not merely intellectually cramming it. What he meant by learning was that it should translate into his actions. That is what he considered as the true learning. So that is what separated him from others. Similarly, we'll see over the course of our podcast that the terms that I have defined very simplistically, just for the sake of starting the discussion, are not so simple. They are very deep. They are very deep, as you might have known this by your experience of life till now. So the question comes, why inspired life? First of all, inspired life has two words, inspired and life. As far as life is concerned, it is the common denominator between all of us. So it is a unique opportunity in the infinite history of time that we are coexisting at this time. If we know its significance, it is a reason enough to celebrate. Anyway, since we have life which is common to all of us, all human beings, at least for the sake of our discussions, we'll presently consider all human life. Since life is common to all, so that is where we can start the discussions. And why inspired? Because you can view life from a million angles. everybody will have a different definition of what life is. But even then, there is something common in everybody's definition. And we'll realize all these things once we move ahead in this journey. So we are all co-travelers or co-passengers on a journey which we call life. You may have different definitions of life, different goals, different purposes, different likings, different languages, different diets, different dress up sense, different everything. But still, there is a common thread between us, and this we can say is life. That is what is common between us, and why it needs to be inspired, because we are all moving towards our next step, and from there to still next step, and to next step, and to next step, and to next step. We may be moving at different speeds, and we may be thinking that we are going towards a different end, but knowingly or unknowingly, we are all going in the same direction. How? Because whatever we want to do it to the best of our capability. We want to do more of it. We want it to reach more people. We want it to touch more people. Whatever we want to do it better, greater, larger, bigger. Every time there is an urge of expansion, and there is another urge of expression within all of us. And that is what consists life. And that is what gives us momentum, the inspiration to move in that direction. And when we see examples of people who have different achievements to their credit in different aspects of their lives, it gives us an inspiration, it gives us some motivation, and we do feel charged by their examples. People from long back in the history, which have existed thousands of years before us, do inspire us. And people who are living with us, they too do inspire us. So inspiration is what increases our momentum towards our goal. So that's why Inspired Life podcast from design your life.com. So now let's move to the next step. In our introductory first episode, I mentioned that we just need to know what is it that we are striving for. And obviously, when you look back at your life, you see that whatever you might be doing, whatever is your role in the world, whatever may be your profession, you are always striving to have a sense of fulfillment. And until and unless you achieve that sense of fulfillment, you are not satisfied. And that is what the purpose of our life is. And it is different for every one of us, because although all of us are human beings, although all of us have life which is common to us, Still, we are all different. We are all unique. We have our unique identification. We are a unique seed. And this seed demands to develop into a fully blossomed flower. So we are all willing to bloom as a full bloom flower, a fully blossomed flower. That is what we are all striving for, knowingly or unknowingly, consciously or unconsciously. So, that much about inspired life. And the first step, which I mentioned, was to know our purpose. So, our purpose is to have the seed within us bloom in its full potential to achieve the full human potential. That is what drives every human being. So that is the first step. And that leads us to the second step, as I've also mentioned in the first podcast, that once we know what our purpose is, we'll also be discussing how to find that. We'll be discussing that in later episodes. So once we establish what our purpose is, then our goals flow from that purpose. This purpose acts like pole star in our life. And by looking at the pole star, we can always keep moving on. But the next requirement for starting our journey is to know where we are right now. That is to know, where do I stand today? What is my location? What is my current status with respect to my goal or my purpose? So, one by one, we'll be discussing every single word that needs discussion in this journey. We will be discussing all relevant questions, why questions, what questions, how questions. We'll be taking all of them one by one in coming episodes. In this episode, I would like to add one important thing. And what is this? This is, since I am now going to give a direction to this series of podcasts, I need interaction because, we are neither born fully independent nor we are fully dependent on anybody outside us, but we are interdependent. So once I come to know, once I hear from you, only then I will be taking next steps and guiding you step by step in this journey, resolving your queries and moving ahead. Why do we need interaction? I have just clarified it. And to emphasize the need, I will also give an example from nowhere else but from Shri Ramcharitmanas. In the Ramcharitmanas, when Hanumanji went to look for Mother Sita in the Lanka, he found her. He was hiding on the branch of a tree when he heard Trijita saying to Sita that she had a dream where she saw a monkey who had burnt the Lanka, golden Lanka. And Hanumanji was surprised. She narrated the entire dream, and Hanumanji was surprised. He said, "Oh God, you are so intelligent. You gave me half the message to bring news about Sita ji, but you never told me to burn the Lanka. You are giving me the other half of the message through this Trijita, who is also a devotee of yours. So I will fulfill my entire duty." And that is what he did. So what I mean to say is the nature of this existence is so that it needs two, it takes two to move ahead. Whenever you see any scripture, it has always come from discussion of guru and disciple. So when I hear from you, only then I will be moving ahead. So waiting for a responses, I will conclude today's episode here only. Take care. Till then, goodbye. Good night. Thank you.